It happens every playoff season. It'll keep happening every playoff season. At some point, you fall behind a little bit. But it's okay, we're still in good pace to watch them all before the tournament starts. It's Vision Denial. My name is Sebastian. I'm going to be going through every playoff series in order. So yes, even that one. And just before MSI, just to get a good sense of what's going to happen when the tournament comes. Back to North America with TSM versus Evil Geniuses. I did it every time, right? So Evil Genius and TSM. Now, I have some things. Not a big fan of TSM, but they won. They slightly better off than Evil Geniuses in this particular series. But there's a lot of good things to say from both sides in regards to the way they played out. Both sides had okay vision. I wish they were more aggressive at sometimes, and I wish they were better at reading things. And even then, it seems like both of them were playing on instinct. Evil Geniuses especially, or in TSM, there's like games where TSM in Game 2, like at 20 minutes in even, if I remember correctly, Game 2, or was it Game 3? No, it was Game 2, yeah. Where, like, there's no vision whatsoever anywhere. And there's no vision in the places that TSM need it because they had just placed it and then got almost aced. And then they were just like, well, maybe Evil Genius is doing Baron, but there's no way for them to know that, and Evil Genius was not doing any of that because they had just squandered their vision in a random place. So, like, a lot of the way these two teams were playing off of, like, instinct or, like, off of just knowing how the other team plays. And it's also reflective in the way that their pick and bans went. The most interesting pick ban they had was in Game 4. Which is, unfortunate because this will bleed in if TSM makes it to the finals and wins the whole thing through the lower bracket. Like, it's deja vu, and we're back into the 2020 qualifiers for Worlds. They're gonna have a hard time adapting to different regions that they just don't know as well. Both of these teams did pick and bans as if like, oh yeah, we know exactly what the other side is going to do, we're just going to do that. And this is kind of why I harp on like non-creative drafts. Like, you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again expecting a better result because you think you can just outdo the team. At some point you're going to have to be a little bit more adaptive, which is why I like Game 4 a lot more than the other 3 games, because the other 3 games are just like little nudges, little differences, but nothing that would really indicate a huge, drastic, like, change in the compositions of their teams, where your game plan changes at any game at like any point. They played virtually the same type of compositions 3 games in a row, and it just was back and forth. I also think it's really weird that both sides opted to stay on the side that they started with. Like, TSM preferred blue, Evil Geniuses preferred red. They handshoke it, and I think it's weird. Like, why not change up your approach? Like, what part of being on the red side was so good that you did virtually nothing different for all of your pick and bans except for in Game 4 for the red side? And what's so good about the priority on Udyr for TSM for it to go on blue side every time? Udyr didn't feel like a necessary part of your compositions in all 4 games. Now, like, I harp on these tiny details here because, like, the rest of it is fine, mostly. Like, TSM's most impressive thing is that they knew how to close out games very quickly and efficiently with Baron. And, mind you, that's really good. I mean, they even knew how to close out games when they didn't have Baron off of the advantages they got from it. And kudos, but they don't play to their win conditions strongly. They had a solid 1-4 comp that Huni just kept like teleporting in way too early and just dying. So like, you don't have your side lane advantages or side lane pressure to even work with the composition, so you're playing with a weaker version of a 5v5 composition the entire time. Weird. Evil Geniuses had like a okay approach to the early game, but honestly, I don't understand why they had such a strong sense of doing a front to back composition with one engage and a variety of different kinds of re-engages. Like, they have one kind of composition that was great for neutral objectives, and then they just didn't do much with the neutral objectives. It was kind of back and forth on both sides, really. I mean, like, they were stronger than TSM at the neutral objectives, much stronger, but I wouldn't give them anything from it. Honestly, this is a much better series from TSM compared to their series with Team Liquid. Nice, but like, I'd give Evil Geniuses a C, and I'd give TSM a C plus. Honestly, either team could have won, and I don't think it makes a big difference in who would have moved on. Other than, I think that TSM was just slightly better at team fighting, which is unfortunate. That being said, a couple of standouts here. Both of the ADCs here were really good. Lost was fairly convincing for me throughout all of these series, and consistent. Really good to have. And I really appreciated Deathly's attempt at like keeping the game going for EG in every single attempt. Speaker also still a standout player. I really like the style that he brings to the jungle and how it feels very different. Granted, I think it's one of the few NA junglers that are in the playoffs right now? Question mark. I know that because I haven't watched the Dignitas Under Thieves yet. That like the only other one was Dardoch. I'll have to double check it, but I'm pretty sure it's the one of the only two. Now, I want more variety out of TSM. I think this was also a similar problem versus their Team Liquid matches, if I remember correctly. That like the variety is an issue. It tells me that you guys have only practiced a few things, and not only that, but the practice you put in doesn't show much confidence for me that like it's any good. Like, the win conditions aren't as strong, and the only thing that I think you guys got going for yourselves are the fact that you understand how to close out the games. So whoever you have to face between 100 Thieves and Dignitas, I really want to see more variety. I don't think you have a lot of time to prepare for that, but I want a little bit more variety in your approaches to the game. And give more variety in ways that are not like, hey, let's do a composition with 1-4 because we know how to close out with that, but play it with somebody who has a hard time doing 1-4 unless you have Baron. Pick like pure 5v5 comes front to back. Pick anything else. Like, sure, do it for game 1, but like games 2 through whatever, you have the options to do anything else. Because just because it works in NA doesn't mean it'll work elsewhere, and you need to be able to fall back and adapt on other styles of compositions to be able to win. Because this is exactly what happened to you at Worlds. You had one very solid composition style, and you adapted throughout the playoffs. You showed that kind of ability, but in the finals, you stuck to one side against a team that it was much more difficult for you to face. And I'm baffled that you're still not learning from your mistakes on this. Heck, I don't even think that if you make it back to rematching any of the upper bracket teams that you're going to pass them. I think you might even struggle a little bit versus the next team that you face off. Prove me wrong. Please do. Like, I want all of these teams. I want any of the B through D tier teams to, like, prove me wrong. But so long as I see the same kind of composition, no flexibility throughout all of the games, or there's only one random game where there's flexibility and you do something slightly different, it tells me that you're playing into things that you already know, and that none of the teams prepared anything special. None of the teams prepared anything as a counterbalance for if their original plan doesn't work out. That they just go off of instinct and don't do anything else from it. And honestly, that just worries me for the state of their international play. Now, good things. I mentioned that they're very good at the Baron closing itself, but I also want to mention that they're very good at punishing things that have not been properly set up, EG especially. I think my cat is scratching at the door. Indeed, my cat was scratching at the door. Yeah, EG especially. Both of these teams have very strong sense of knowing when to punish when somebody was doing something. Which is really good because it means that they are very good at knowing when somebody's trying to guess that something's wrong or guessing their play, and that they can take advantage of any random guesses that are just wrong. But I want TSM to work on their neutral setup. It's not one thing to know what to do when you have the buffs. You need to actually properly set up the procedure so that you can take them with, like, no contest. Because you would oftentimes just set up the wards, be there first, and then EG had an easier time just engaging on you because you didn't do anything to convince them that, like, they had to choose between you or another pressure that you set up, or you had not done anything to make sure that they wouldn't have a strong ability to contest against you. Like, no steps were prepared other than, we got the vision here now. It doesn't matter. If you cleared out the vision, they know you're still there. You have not denied much in terms of information. In fact, unless you're doing something creative with the clearing of it so that you can cash them out and you don't let them engage on you, all you have is just a standoff. They would do this so often. Even EG, who was a little bit more consistent with the setup, but this still would happen. They would clear out the vision. They would set up things so that they would have the vision control itself. Don't do anything to, like, challenge any denial of information or actual denial of the vision, and would end up in a line. Oh, to the map it would look more like this. Yeah, they would just end up in a line where, like, whoever has the mid lane upper here just, like, re-grabbed it would go here, and whoever had set up the vision would be up here just trying to, like, pivot for control, and then one probably would approach, and then there would be a contest, and then one would steal or one would not, and then the fight happens. But, like, oftentimes the team that didn't do the setup would be on the back foot because they're focusing too much on like the neutral. Like, and I know they know how to, like, do wave manipulations because TSM, like, after they'd gotten all their advantages from the Baron control, would then pivot to using the exact same methods they would use with Baron without it, and then proceed to, like, close out games without the buff using wave manipulation, so that they were forcing Evil Geniuses to play on a back foot and on TSM's own terms. Like, come on! You know how to do it, and then yet you don't until it's, like, way late into the game. I'm tired of seeing teams who don't play consistently or don't play to the same rules early and mid game as they do when they are in late game. You can do a lot of these things without having to be so far in. That being said, if memory serves me right, they're still higher seeded than the other teams that are left, and so TSM might still win. Might, but if they lose, it wouldn't surprise me. But I don't expect any. If this is literally the what's to show the highest seed out of the lowest bracket, I don't expect them to beat the two higher seeds who are just consistently better. So we'll see. I hope they prove me wrong. Give me some improvements. Let me know what you guys think. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next one. I'm catching up. I just got 4 more games after this, or 4 more series after this, and then Australia starts at midnight of the 30th. Australia is historically the weakest region. So there's like a little excitement, but nah. We'll see. Thank you all for watching.